Champion, not just Ugandan sport, but look at some of the biggest stories internationally. I'm Andrew Kabura, Sarah Yawe and Tuka Brian are here, and let's start off with that huge headline for Ugandan sport. The wait is finally over because it's just one day now until the Rugby Africa Cup kicks off right here at the Mandela National Stadium. Now the tournament runs from tomorrow, that is the 8th of July, through to the 19th, with day one action starting bright and early at 10 a.m. and wrapping up at 4 p.m. Now it's been a lively weekend leading up to the big event, with teams arriving and getting warm Ugandan welcomes from vibrant traditional dancers at the Entebbe International Airport, sampling our world famous local cuisine, and of course learning about Uganda in terms of our weather, in terms of our tourism, in terms of our culture. All these teams will be enjoying that. And of course it's not just the players that are turning heads. The prestigious Webb Ellis Cup has well arrived in Uganda for the very first time. Crafted back in 1906, the Webb Ellis Cup is named after William Webb Ellis, the man credited with inventing rugby back in 1823. It's awarded to the winner of the Men's Rugby World Cup organized by World Rugby. Now the Uganda Rugby Union, in collaboration with Rugby Africa, will host a national reception and a series of public events celebrating the Cup's visit. Senior World Rugby officials, including the Vice Chairman Jonathan Webb and the Chief International Relations Officer David Kargi, are also in the country for the occasion. Tuka Brian, good morning. Finally, the day has come, but look at that beautiful piece of art.
I hope the referees are here because now it's kick-off time. The Webb Ellis Cup is here. We're talking the Rugby Africa president, a couple of officials from the international rugby, and then of course Desired Eric Ford, who is part of the international local events. I mean, we are ready.
Yeah.
What we want now is kickoff.
Absolutely.
I think the talk has been done. What we need now is to see the greens of Nambour, and should be fascinating. Really looking forward. I feel for the boys though. You're asking Sarah how you'd feel as a sportsman or as an athlete. I think there's going to be a bit of pressure on these guys here because last time, or I think last year, there was a bit of what we understand, not the best of preparations. Maybe we're in the best of shape, we can understand. This time around, the optimism is way up there.
Yeah. And
it's got to match the performances of the boys. So we hope that they can match the expectations and the optimism of the fans here.
All right, just before I get a reaction from Sarah Yawe this morning, let's quickly remind you that all the action from the Mandela National Stadium is live on NBS Sport, and there's a couple of fixtures to look out for on match day one. There you are. 10 a.m. Zimbabwe are up against Morocco. At midday, you have Algeria up against Cote d'Ivoire. Namibia, who arrived this morning, will open up against Senegal before Kenya up against Uganda. It is more than rugby, though. There is so much to sell in terms of the country and so many to inspire in terms of the younger generation.
Definitely. And I think I'll start with what you mean by in terms of, like, Every time we have tournaments like these ones, there's so much that's done around the feel or the experience that people are going to have when they come to the country. So of course, I think a lot has been done, especially at Nambole and around Nambole. You want these people to come and experience what a beautiful country Uganda looks like and is. And I think in terms of what that looks like already ahead of the tournament, I think we're in a good position to sell the country in that regard. But also in terms of young talent, I think people are going to come out ready to look at the rugby cranes. Hopefully they can see more than Philip Okorach. I know we asked people here to tell us who they're looking forward to watching apart from Philip Okorach, but I think that is because we want to continue to inspire the younger generation, to show that there's been continuity in the team. Apart from Philip Okorach, apart from all those players who have played for the rugby team for quite a while, there's been other younger players who have been onboarded, and they're going to look pretty good. So I think it's beyond just the people we've seen play for a while, but it's also inspiration for the rest to keep working hard and make it at that stage, and maybe impress people who have come out to watch them and play on a bigger stage.
All right, yesterday World Rugby and Africa Rugby brought the Webb Ellis Trophy then to the Speak Resort in Munyonyo, where a couple of stakeholders had an opportunity to get up close with one of rugby's most sought after pieces of art. And now we can take you over there and get you a bit of audio.
I think the significance for me is beyond excellence, because what I saw last year, I expect something even better this year, and I'm excited. I'm like a little school kid. But more importantly for me is that I've got my two colleagues here from World Rugby. Because the question of us hosting here in Uganda is one thing, but to get the Webb Ellis Trophy here is another thing.
Now, I want to thank government, being in the position I'm in. I'm talking on behalf of government, but it's important because I was also the chairman of the ILOC, that I acknowledge the serious contribution that government is making towards this event. And I want to introduce once again the General Secretary and National Council of Sports, Dr. Patrick Ogwell. The Uganda government is fully in support of this event.
The energy here is phenomenal. David and I are under no illusion that the real star is the Webb Ellis Trophy. It has a magic about it. As you heard, you can't touch it unless you've won it. I had the great privilege to play in the World Cup final in 1991. Sadly, we came off the worst against Australia, so I've only been able to walk past the cup ever since.
Right, there you go. The excitement across the country is obviously building. Go get yourself those tickets right now and make sure as early as 10 a.m. you're at the Mandela National Stadium. But Uganda up against Kenya will be at 4 p.m. Now let's move away from rugby for a moment and talk a bit of football then this morning, because Engineer Moses Magogo has been re-elected unopposed as FUFA president for the 2025-2029 term during the Federation's General Assembly in Hoima. Now this marks his fourth term since taking office back in 2013. The FUFA Electoral Committee confirmed he was the only nominated and duly verified candidate, eliminating the need for a vote. Now Magogo pledged to continue developing Ugandan football, emphasizing governance, infrastructure and youth. The new FUFA Executive Committee will feature both familiar faces and new voices as well. Justice Mukisha and Florence Nachiwala Chiinji return as first and third vice presidents respectively, while Dr. Twaib Azar joins as the new second vice president. Other newly elected members include Deo Mutabazi, Ronald Barente, and of course Abdul Sekabira Lukoya. And all this was happening in Hoima. So it's a fresh term for the Honorable Moses Magogo, and you want to believe there's bigger challenges.
Yeah, I don't think this comes as a surprise. I don't even know why it's an announcement. I'm not sure it's an announcement. It was well known that nobody had a chance to stand against Engineer Moses Magogo. Whatever they say, they have made it extremely impossible for any other person to stand for the FUFA presidency. Only them can. So, I mean, National Council of Sports or government at the higher level are the only ones who can sort or do something and sort that mess in regards to the FUFA elections, because it's clearly locked out a couple of people. So only him can stand, and probably a couple of his friends that he works with at FUFA can come in and stand. So we hope that in all this, there's better for football. That's for sure, because we can say all we want, but there's been a lot more presentation, a lot more talk than what's on ground and what's been done. So we hope that there's something done in that regard.
Right, now we can again take you to Western Uganda at FUFA's General Assembly over the weekend and listen in to the newly re-elected president. Here is Honorable Engineer Moses Magogo.
For me, it is, first of all, I would like to take the opportunity to thank the members of FUFA for this decision. Is that they have looked at what we have done over the past period, and that's where we get our mandate from. Turning around this game, those who have followed it from where it was in 2013 to where it is today, in terms of the sport itself, in terms of the business, even in terms of governance, it is on that basis that the members still entrust us to do more work. And definitely we want to consolidate what we have achieved. There has been a lot of success stories we are proud of, but then there are also still some challenges to address. Looking at the future, we want to implement the FUFA Technical Master Plan, which is our dream encyclopedia of how to turn around how the game of football is played on the pitch. We want to invest time and resources to ensure that we deliver quality football and compete on the pitch to win.
That is Engineer Moses Magogo then speaking after being re-elected. A quick rush through results from the National Basketball League then over the last 3 days, starting off with Friday. The KIU Rangers winning their game against the UCU Lady Cannons 61-57, while Summit won their game against the Nam Blazers 73-70. The Blazers losing their third game in a row before some big results on Sunday that saw the City Oilers thump the Kampala Rockets 70-70, 30, and then of course a huge win in there for the Summit BC side again over the UCU Cannons 62-60. So results all over the place, Sarah. But you want to think the Nam Blazers are probably going to be a bit part of the headlines?
Definitely, but they did pick up a win, a crucial win yesterday against the JKL Dolphins, as you can see. The scoreline, I must say, is lying to us, by the way, because it was closer than that towards the end of the game. 4 minutes left into the game, it was just I think a 5-point lead in there, but the Namungo Blazers were able to do what they had to do after the rain calmed down, and they won that game. It was a good win for them, bouncing back from those 3 back-to-back losses. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to change what I said about them. Again, they don't look like they're out of the slump fully. I felt like if it was a bigger team than JKL Dolphins yesterday, it could have been a different story on the floor. But they have to do everything right. I think I saw a video where Coach, what's his name again? Escodata, yes, was saying that they just need to, you know, they've been complacent and they need to come out of that and play basketball. And I think going forward, as they of course try to wrap up the first round, I'm sure they want to finish as the #1 top seed, but they can't do that if they continue to lose games. They can't do that if they, you know, continue to play the way they've been playing. But talk about a big win yesterday as well for the City Oilers against Kampala Rockets. They were swept. They did make a statement because Kampala Rockets did defeat them in the first round, and I think it was very crucial for them to win that game and hopefully continue to get a better spot on the table.
All right, that is local basketball. But just before we wrap it up this morning, an important international headline for Uganda's basketball fraternity as well, because Arthur Kaluma made a strong, promising debut for the LA Lakers in their 103-83 victory over the Miami Heat in the California Classic Summer League, playing 10 minutes and 52 seconds while scoring 5 points. He also added a rebound, an assist, and finished with a +15 minus, one of the highest on the team. Now, though his role was limited, Kaluma showed energy, drew credit and contact as well, and played smart basketball. His defensive presence and off-ball movement gave coaches a glimpse of exactly his potential. It was a solid first step in his bid to earn more minutes in the coming games for the LA Lakers. Brand, pictures you thought you would never see?
Yeah, I mean, if you're Ugandan, you're just glad to see such pictures of a Ugandan wearing a Lakers jersey. Even if it's a summer league. I mean, there are not so many people get such opportunities. There's more than a million people who want to get this opportunity. They don't. So a couple of Ugandans went out in the first game. They didn't see him playing, and he actually didn't suit up. And then for this one here, again, he comes back. Looks like when he's over,